hello. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Obedako. Welcome. It's another day. It's Sunday, and I want to share with you sports, entertainment, and business. Sports, entertainment, and business. I like music, and follow a lot of the top singers that we have produced in our country. When we were growing up, when we were little, we could hear of Papayan saying Ajoy Ajoy Hanky or something. Amachidede, Tadilumba, Kojenchi. We could hear of these people who were fantastic in the music industry. And then football, Ghana Black Star, Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Accra House of Folk. That's what we grew up with. You hear names of Tony Yeboah, Abedi Pele. Those were names, and there were a lot of other people who you could just hear their name. We didn't even know where they came from. Roger Miller. You could hear of some Alan Shearer. Some names, and it was like if you had an uncle who liked football, you had no choice to be. I remember I had an uncle who Sundays in the commentary, he would switch on the radio and he'd be explaining the English to me. And when they say the goals were for these people, he would explain it to me. It's fantastic. Human beings are very much attached to sports, entertainment. It's emotional. It's so almost every human being relates to it. If you get into any industry where you appeal to emotions, it lights up like that. So if you don't catch up with let's say the music industry, if you don't catch up for the last 3 4 years, if you close your mind to what is happening in the industry now, every now and then you have new guys coming up, very talented. Some of them have used 5 years, 6 years, 10 years training in their hideout. Then one time you hear them that this guy is here and his music is all over. Some of them are young women. A lot of them are coming from, Nigeria. It's all over Africa. And some of the music you hear, very fantastic music. Very fantastic music. You go to the movie industry, it's the same. Somebody trains, he joins some movie somewhere. The next minute he's popular, and everybody knows them. Sports, same. Football. It's only when the Ghana Black Stars went to, I think, Brazil or somewhere, that they went to do foolishness that a lot of people started not to pay attention so much to football. But those people are legends. They are heroes. We look up to them. We look, if you see Sule Muntari, if you see Tony Yeboah, if you see Abedi Pele, they are legends. I'm talking about sports. I'm talking about entertainment, and I'm talking about business. Because what it takes to become successful as an entertainer, and what it takes to become successful as a sports person, and what it takes to become successful in business, they don't necessarily meet. Each has its different part. And if you look at our continent now, we are producing a lot, and even it's good. I think sports is good. I think entertainment is good, but we should know that the sports, the entertainment, really are not the way to develop a country in its strictest sense. So they are very good people. They are dancing, they are producing music every time you dance. You go to parties, there is new music every now and then. Angela, all those, Kwame Eugene or something like that. Kitty, all these young guys, they are trying to find their feet. It's fantastic. And most of these youth, because they are on, now the world is on the social media. So most of these youth, their colleagues, everyone, majority of them, all of them are trying to find a hit in singing, in acting, maybe in sports, and things like that. And we cannot say that it's not important. It's important, but there is so much difference between we as having a lot of people producing hit music or playing in Chelsea or Manchester United, and having a continent which is developing and which is developing our own product, our own businesses, creating more employment. There are differences, and so I think that your persuasion of life, your persuasion of a lot of things, are subject to the depth of your understanding of whatever that you are persuaded of. And until a new knowledge, a new light comes in, that thing controls you forever. So we are producing a generation that is much addicted to emotions. And listen, if they see you on TV, 1, 2, 3, you join the reality show, or you go and sing on TV3, the next minute you become a hit star. You're on the radio station, you produce one music, 2, 3, 4, it becomes hit, and then you are a hero, which is good, which is good. But I am talking about there is a difference, because they see, once you produce 1, 2, 3 music, they train. Most of these guys train. They take years to train. Some of them are very good with playing keyboards, guitar. They train a lot with their voices. And once a while, you see that one of them will become, one of them will have a song that will hit, and the next moment, he's successful. He's a hero, and everybody is looking up to them. That is good, but we are talking of what it takes. There are different things, though. The sports, the entertainment, and the music. What is it? The business. They're the same. And for me, there are differences in terms of what it takes for a person to become personally successful, and what it takes for what our personal doings and activities have to contribute to the development of a continent that is late. And so if you are late and the best of your talent are still looking up to sports and entertainment, not as the plan B, but as the main. Because the other time I went to a minister's office, I think 4 or 5 years or 7 years ago, and I saw what they had written, that football is the passion of the nation. I don't know whether I could put that argument rightly, but I thought that this is a developing country, and football should not be your passion. It should be, it's after you have done work, after you have worked, then you go to play. But if you have critical situations, then you cannot say that our passion is football. So how do we develop? And sometimes when you combine the development, then it destroys every argument, because most people are not worried so much about the country developing. Majority of us are worried about finding our own lives, trying to find something to do with my life, trying to find my room, buy a car for myself, get a job somewhere. Majority of us are not so much concerned about what it takes for a country to develop. I think that most people think that that is the duty of the president and his people. Maybe he's right, but what we tend to forget is that the president is also trying to find his life. And then we are the ones talking, because when your country is not developing, when your country is not prospering, and you as an individual you are prospering, there's still a problem, because majority of the people can only be moved out of poverty when the systems in the country are structured well. For instance, if you live in a poor country and you're rich, how about the healthcare system? How about the prison system? How about the crime rate? How about the unemployment? So the more the country, and the more our thinking is linked to the prosperity of our country, more than just our livelihood and how it becomes successful, the better it is. So I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about entertainment, and I'm talking about business. And usually, most people confuse the two, because what it takes to become a very successful singer, usually I sing, I train. Maybe I was gifted as a singer. God gave somebody a gift to sing. So some people are very good. They have the voice and they can put words together. And once you hear them, you can see that this guy is a singer. And so once he's singing, maybe somebody will identify him, become his, producer, putting on some label, and then the next minute the person is exploding. Now the person's talent will go as much as he's able to develop himself, he's able to find somebody who will manage him well. That is like that. Now the thing is that the next minute a lot of us will think that he's very successful. Now, or you find a footballer, he plays where he finds himself to play for most of these foreign companies, foreign football teams, and the next minute that he's a hero. It's fantastic. So Matthiasen becomes a big player. He trains, he gets up, he goes to train every morning. He's building his life with his talent. He's building everything that he has with his talent. Now, there are a lot of business people, successful business people, who may have done business for 20 years, 30 years, who probably control a lot of wealth, a lot of prosperity, who will never be able to be held in esteem like the sportsmen or the movie people or the musicians. Because the music, the sports, they appeal to a lot of our emotions. And human beings, most human beings don't want to solve their problem like that. We just want to wish the problems away. So anything that will daze us, anything that will numb, let us forget about our pain, we hate that. So if I can hear that song, maybe my girlfriend ditched me, and there's a song somewhere that can at least in my mind retaliate with that girlfriend. I'm very happy with whoever sung that song, and that person becomes my hero. So it's emotional, and most people can relate and hold those people as very successful. Unfortunately, all around the world, especially if you look at the African Americans, the industry that they have given to them is sports, that is entertainment, and the machinery that is running the sports, those who own the sports teams, those who own the labels, those who control the wealth in these industries, usually are not the African Americans, because they have the talent, they can sing, they have the energy to play, they have the skill. Same are the Africans are also copying, because the fact is that I think that a lot of the things that we see in the movie that the African Americans do, we try to copy them. And so you can see that most of our guys speak, we sing in American slangs and American things like that. Maybe I'm wrong. And so we have the Africans, we have subconsciously accepted that it takes a lot, maybe it's our talent to just to be rapping and just to play football, and we think that is a tool. And I've had people argue strongly that we can use it to develop. Maybe I think that we can use sports to develop, but I don't know if there is a country which has used this sports to develop. So it's a good thing. The only thing is that we have to classify it well. In terms of the sports, the entertainment, they help the people to find their own lives. The musician, the girl who is singing, let's say, some of them Becca House, she's trying to find herself. It's a talent, just like you becoming a teacher, or just like you becoming a doctor or something. It's a talent that she has found. She may not have gone through a lot of trainings to become that, because you don't need a lot of training to become a singer. You just need endurance to keep trying. One day there's a song that hits. You don't need a lot of school to become a footballer. You just need the vim and have the basic primary talent, and to keep trying, and hopefully you get connected to somebody who will be able to put you in a platform for you to become successful. For me, it's the sports, the entertainment. You can hit the fame once you hit the jackpot. Once you hit, so you see a little boy, he tries to dodge out of school. He tries. He goes to the studio. The next minute he has a song which is hit. And he's on YouTube, Delay will interview him, and then the next minute he's popular, and that is music. That is music, at least from the little that I understand. Or football, same. He finds himself in the national team, he becomes a hero. They pay them well. It's still an employment, in a way. The only thing is that they receive a lot of money, but it's still employment. The path to success in these areas are not necessarily the same as the path to success in developing a business. And I will go further to do that. So somebody can easily become famous and some kind of money because they started to sing, or they started to act, and they carry a lot of influence. Politicians will want to meet them, and preachers will want to meet them. The funniest thing is that you can do business and employ 1,000 people. To take you a lot of time for them to recognize that you have money. They'll come and take your money, but when they want the numbers, they want the people with the following, because the following usually is with the emotions. If I can sing well, if I can play well, And that's how the world has been arranged. And so if you are in business, if you do business, your part is different. And the same as the guy who's even an entertainer. Some of them will start to hit, they start to get money, and then they say that they want to start business. Now you see them open some label somewhere, and they think that it will just succeed. No, just as you paid a lot of price in bringing that talent out, singing when nobody wanted to listen to you, training, showing your demo to everybody. Some of them will laugh at you, some of them will just ridicule you, but you didn't give up. You kept on going. You could go to the studio, practice hours, and yet nobody, you may not even get a backup. Somebody's singing and they just let you sing one line, but you didn't give up. And then they grow. Next minute they have their own songs and it's hit somewhere. It took you a while for you to develop that what is it? That sports brand or that music brand. It will also take you a while for you to. You cannot just switch just because you have become a successful entertainer. You sing, therefore the next minute you have a hotel chain. No, it takes a while. And that's why the business people must also understand. It's not the same talent. It's not the same part. The music guy can easily be trashed into fame, can easily have social, political influence easily. But the business person, the entrepreneur, may take a while for him to develop that. Because for you to have a business that works, you may spend a lot of years not building your talent alone. For the sportsman, for the entertainer, if I have a good talent and I keep developing myself, I can just fall and ride on somebody's structure. Like I can just join a music label. They try to produce the music and promote it. Or if a good footballer, I happen to join a good team, I can thrive or I can ride on their structure, on their system. For a business person, for an entrepreneur, you have got to build your own system. You have got to build your own structure. And that's why it takes a while, because you are going to build the finances, the product, the systems, the employment. You cannot even go alone. If you decide to go alone, the sportsman, the entertainer can train. He has to train himself alone. He has to lift himself alone. He has to polish a talent, for him to continue to be relevant. And he's paid well because of that. Now, you as a business person, you cannot do that. You have to have that thinking that I am going to develop systems, structures, people, before I become that much successful. And when you have become successful as a business person, it's not the fame. They will not classify a business person as successful because of you. No. It's because of the employment, because of the wealth that you created, because of the products that are changing, because of the systems that your business are able to build, And so the part is different. The part is different. The music, the sports, they appeal to entertain emotions, and a lot of people like that. And Africans, we like now, every young man, every young woman, not every, but majority of us would want to sing. We want to become sports people because it's the easiest. You don't have to go through a lot to become that much successful. If it has to do with business, you have to go through a lot. You cannot be alone. You cannot just go to your studio and sing and say that. If you are developing any business, your ability to develop the people is a requirement. For the sportsman, he has to train. Yes, he has to learn how to play his team, but he doesn't have to own the team. Somebody owns the team and he plays with it. It's fine. And he becomes successful. He can become successful. But the business person, you cannot be alone and become successful. So, sports, entertainment, and business. Sports, entertainment, and business. The sports, entertainment, they are top. I can say that they are top employment in a way. They can push you into fame, and sometimes you can get some kind of money. But for business, for you to get into that kind of category of fame, for the wealth, there are a lot of business people with a lot of money, more than most of these singers, more than most of these actors, more than even most of these business sports people. But they may not be as famous because the business is different. It takes a while for them to get there. So the moment you see that there's somebody, a global business icon, you can see that usually he's a billionaire. And he employs maybe 25,000 people, 200,000 people. He has a lot of influence over government. And don't forget that most of it, these guys have been doing the business for maybe 30 years, maybe 40 years. Majority of them, you can see that if it's not the IT businesses, the traditional businesses, those in construction, real estate, those in hotel, restaurant, retail, those kind of people, they have been in business for years, manufacturing, processing. Those guys have been in business for 30 years, 40 years, and they come with wealth of knowledge, and they control a lot of wealth. Sportsmen don't fall in that kind of category. When the moment they get to that global stage, no sportsman comes close, because the wealth is controlled by those, or the wealth is really created by those who really create real problems. Sports and entertainment, they pacify. They solve problems, there's emotional problems, but they really pacify. It's not the real, they don't change the dynamics of the economy. So to say. I may be wrong, but let's face it, we have produced all these musicians. We still import everything from China anyway. So the sports, yes, we are dancing. We are watching all the African movies. We are listening to all this music from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Kenya. No problem. But they are not really solving the fundamentals for the economy to grow. Those who can solve the fundamentals for the economy to grow are the entrepreneurs. Good government structure, and then empowering the people to innovate, to think, to come up with solutions to change the dynamics of the economy. And so for me, the ideal situation would be when we have gone to work, when we have worked so much to change the dynamics of our country, when we are developing, when we have been able to solve the waste problem, when we have been able to solve the water problem, at least it's not everything completely, but a sizable stage. When we've been able to deal with the basic product that we must be manufacturing, when we've been able to improve our customer service, our retail, when the major retailers are coming from our own people, not foreigners. I'm sorry, but not when you can have Ghanaian companies competing or are doing better than ShopRite or doing better than Game, when Ghanaians are building their own malls, building their own oil refineries, producing their own cement, coming out with their own airlines, building their own banks. For me, then you can see that the people are in charge of the economy. And that will come from the business, not the sports people, not the entertainment people. To come from us, producing people who think ownership. And that will take a lot of time. And so we don't just have to produce. There's nothing wrong with young people thinking of sports and entertainment. Perhaps some of them along the line will start to move from just being musician, just being sports people, and maybe give themselves time, train, and turn the kind of wealth that they've been able to create through their sports, through their entertainment, to start to build businesses. But it's not a simple transition. It takes a lot of pain. It takes a lot of a paradigm shift. It takes a lot for them to move from just playing football, playing movies, and building businesses. The fact is that you cannot use sports people, entertainers, to create an economy which is controlled by your own people. Because if you look around, the manufacturing must be controlled by your own people. The finance, the banks should be owned by Ghanaians. That's why we are going to create billionaires. If you go to let's say the telecommunication, it should be the Ghanaians. If you go to the mining sector, the big construction firms should be Ghanaians. Should be your own people. It should not only be that when it comes to sports, the Ghanaians are there everywhere. There are very few foreigners. In our country, I don't even think that foreigners play in our teams. When it comes to singing, Ghanaians singing. Movie, we are the ones singing, play. But when it comes to business, then we left it. When it comes to the top players in the industry, they don't look like us. There's something that is not right. It means that the fundamentals for us to grow and develop, we think that we are not in charge, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of endurance. It takes a lot of knowledge to build anything. For instance, if you want to start a cement industry, you don't just go and start. But I can use 4 months to learn a PC to learn how to program music, play keyboard. If I'm gifted with voice, produce music, try. I will find some producer somewhere. The next minute my song is on air, is playing everywhere. And the thing about the youth is that I'm not saying this to put you down, but it's a reality. When somebody produces music, they think that they have done a lot. If you produce a music, we dance with the music, but our people are still dying in the hospitals. We're still going. A lot of the children go to a lot of the regions. We still go to school on barefoot. So the things that are going to change our people to give dignity, because for me, nothing is as important as any activity that gives dignity to your people, that creates prosperity. And so the music, the entertainment, we grew up with them. They appeal to us. They make us forget all the problems. But they have not changed the dynamics of our development. They have not. Yes, we give a lot of prominence to them, and they help the people who are in it. So the musician is helped himself. Usually, they don't change us. If they play music of, say, Shatawali in Jamaica, the people will just dance and say that Shatawali is from Jamaica. That's it. From Ghana. And they say, oh, this is a good music from Ghana. But what does it change? It's good. It's made name, yes, and it's linked our country to it. But I don't know. They say that, oh, it will bring tourists. Okay, so how much development have you had from the tourism, from this music? If it's so true, then why have you not widened it to develop? Because it's unacceptable for people to import everything, drugs, import clothes, import food, import everything. And then when you come here to major industries are handled by not our people, because we are busy singing, we are busy playing sports, we are busy becoming movie actors. Which is good, but we should just place it where it is. It's not the one going to make us develop. Because the people who we go to borrow, the people who are developing, the last 30 years, the countries that have developed, they developed by productivity. They developed by the consciousness to industrialize. And if you talk of industrialization, you're talking of business, you're talking of entrepreneurs, you're talking of a government which wants to develop its own people, wants to play, wants to win, not to entertainment. The entertainment will come after we have worked. You don't get up early in the morning to go and play football. No, you get up early in the morning, or you don't get up early in the morning to throw party. You go to work, and after work, then you can go and sit somewhere and drink and listen to music. But if you get up in the morning and you are drinking and you are playing music, then there is a problem. People who have gone on retirement, they are the ones who can sit at home, relax, and listen to music. But if you're a young man, 20 years, you cannot get up early in the morning and sit at home listening to music. You have to go and find something to do, be productive while you're strong. And so the country cannot be placing, there should be something that should be done to help a lot of our people to be thinking. Yes, those who the business talent, yes, maybe. Those with the singing and with entertainment, maybe could be looking at that. But majority of our people should be thinking of dominating. All the sectors of the economy must be dominated by young people, and they have to think like that. But if the youth are just thinking of, I want to hit music, I want to hit with a movie, I want to hit with playing for Black Star, because for majority of us it's Black Star, and when Black Star is playing, when you're young, I like Abedi Pede so much. I like the way he played. I was very much happy whenever I saw him. That's the inspiration that you were set for us, and we are setting the same inspiration for our children. Instead of us setting another inspiration to compete with the sports and entertainment, we should be setting the space, where the children are thinking of maybe how do we improve the agricultural implements, how do we come up with processes, engineering processes. How can they innovate? How can they come up with better tools, better way, better application, better technology to improve the livelihood and to bring progress to our society? How can we, other than us growing, looking at Abedi Pele and Super OD, and looking at them as the standard when we were children, our children should be having another part where they can start to see somebody, with better technology, with, robotics, something to improve the daily problems that we have had for years. And those will fall in business, not in sports, not in entertainment. Because a country which is into sports and entertainment all the time, other countries will be going to China all the time to go and borrow, whereas the Chinese are working. We are the masters of football, and yet we go and cry. What is it that they are doing that is making them create this prosperity? They are working, and that falls in terms of business. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about entertainment, and I'm talking about business. And I'm saying that what it takes to become successful in business takes a while. You know, it takes a while, and you cannot succeed alone in business in its strictest sense. You have to be able to build systems. You have to be able to build products that solve rare problems. You have to be able to build handle your finances well. You have to be competitive. You have to have structural thinking to build a business. Now, if you want to become a singer, just have a good voice and train and get somebody to promote you. The next minute, once your song hits, you're popular. And the thing about our country is that, or the thing about the world is that, once my song hits, they want to classify me as somebody like Dangote, which is an error. It's not the same. I'm a singer. That's why, and it is short-lived. Most of these footballers or sports people, just within their 40s, they are off the scene. And most business people, just around their 40s, that's where they start to begin to create the wealth. You know, most of them 20 years before the 40, everything that they did was just preparation. So once they start to hit their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, that's where they start to become the wealthiest people that we know, most of them in their 60s, 70s. Why? Because it takes so much time for you to build structures, build people. You cannot succeed in business without building people, building structures. You know, so that is the kind of mentality that the business side takes. You build people, build structures, you develop yourself. It takes years, 20, 30, 40. So when they're in their 60s, you see that the guy has almost every business. He has telecommunication business, he has a mining company, he has a retail business, he's on the stock market, he's creating wealth, he's employing a lot of people. Now the sportsman at that time starts to go down because he's on retirement. It's short-lived. He worked with only his talent. He could not build with team. He could not build with structure. He worked for himself. They may have paid him well, no problem. But he got paid. He worked. It's really like an employment, so to say. He worked to be paid. There's nothing wrong with it. He worked for himself. But for the business person he's creating, any business person who is a billionaire is not working for himself. He's creating wealth for the country. He's creating opportunities. He's creating problems. He's solving problems. He's creating prosperity for the country. And there's a big difference. So if you're a young man and you are thinking, you have a sports talent or you have a singing talent, it's good. At least you can use it to lift yourself, help your family. Something like that, but don't stretch it so much because the way we try to stretch the success of sports and entertainment sometimes is elusive. It's the fame side of it that class people, but the rare wealth created is in people who are solving rare problems, creating rare value. Really. I know people will disagree with me, but that's the fact. If you sing, I play the music, it's nice, and I like music, it's nice, but it does not solve any rare problems that we are meeting as a people. If you go to Kwabena and the women are sleeping on the floor, music cannot solve that. Music cannot solve that. It can help them to forget their misery, but once they come back to reality, they will see that they still give it better on the floor. And that is not solved by singing. It's solved by people solving, creating rare solutions. And so, my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about sports, entertainment, and I'm talking about business. And I'm saying that the path to creating any of those are really different. And so, if you have a sports talent, develop yourself, build some career for yourself. It's short-lived, but make the best out of it. And don't deceive yourself that because you've been able to play football, you can just go and build a business. It will take you different set of skill to move from there to go and build any business. Even if in sports, even if you want to own a football team and you're a former footballer, the skill set that you will need to build a team is entirely different from the skill set that you had when you were playing football. So if let's say you're a singer Yes, you sing. The skill set for you to produce the music and market it is so much different from the one that you need to sing. It's a different thing. So the rare people, the people who control the wealth in the industry, is not the people with the talent. It's the people who own the structure, the people who own the system. And that is why people must start to think. We cannot just be in a country where, when it comes to the sports and entertainment, we are the ones in charge. But when it comes to where the real value is created, where the real prosperity is created, then we don't find our people. When it comes to where the wealth is created, we don't find our people. Then we are looking for the foreigners. When they are doing major construction works, our people are not there. When they are building big hospitals, we are not there. When they are building big industries, we are not the ones there. But when it comes to singing, we are the ones there. When it comes to playing football, we are the ones showing up. There's something wrong. You cannot produce the people who can be the richest in their own country if they only are settled with sports and entertainment. And then the very place that they have to create the real value, the prosperity, then your people are found wanting. And that is generally it's with Africans. And if you look at African Americans, it's the same. They are left to be singing and dancing and playing sports, but not the ownership of the machinery, which is dangerous. And that's why we are not solving a lot of problems ourselves. So that's why we are subservient, because it takes a lot of knowledge, it takes a lot of skills, it takes a lot of patience to build, to own the structure. To build, to own the structure. So when we are confusing the success in the music, we are confusing the success in the acting. When sometimes you watch some of these old movie people, they say that, oh, he served Ghana, he acted for all these years, and now he's poor, he needs money to go and do surgery. The fact is that they didn't serve Ghana. They entertain us, that's different. Entertainment and solving problems are not really the same. I'm sorry, but they are not really the same. They just provided a product that was not really critically needed at the fundamentals of us as a developing country. So if, let's say, Adwa Smart, for instance, they say that, oh, she's sick, she played a lot of movies, but they didn't change anything. We still have a lot of problems that we have to solve, and those problems fall if you produce a generation that is thinking in terms of solutions, because that's where you change the people. All these other sports, entertainment, they live for themselves. Forget. They really serve their interests more than the interests of the people. And that's why we continue to go, because no country has developed just by producing young men and women who are so much occupied with sports and entertainment. No. It's good, but it cannot be the main agenda. Maybe 2% of our people, 3% of our people. I think the rest should be going to work, producing products that are competing with what is coming from China. Building businesses, building better systems, coming up with thinking, creativity, innovation, and that falls in business. Then you are ready. But if you sit down, you play all the music, you dance everywhere we are dancing, everything we dance. Look at our advert, everything is dancing. Everything is dancing. We dance at everything. And then the next minute we need any product, we are on the plane going to China to bring. If they were doing the same thing that we're doing, we will not be able to go there to bring anything. Because they are not doing that. They are not dancing and drumming. They are in the factory, thinking, planning, coming up with better products. Because that is what develops. So for us, majority of these young men, especially those around 20, 25, for them, success is what? Getting a label, becoming famous on the radio or on the TV, speaking American English, and saying that I have made it. Usually, it's because majority of us are coming from, very critical, humble family background. So we are fighting. We are fighting just to make a living. But to the majority of the people, say that he's a hero. I remember when the young girl died, Ebony died, some people were saying we should give the girl state burial. I'm like, wow. Country that you don't produce anything. Somebody produces the music. And that is your hero. Because the product, the things that you are creating, that you are celebrating, should be the very things that will lift you out of your difficulties, out of your problems. So let's say you are poor. The things that you celebrate should be the things that because poverty then is your critical problem. So if you want to celebrate any creation, any development, any success, it should be that which is helping you to move from the poverty. But if you are still in the poverty and somebody is playing music, you say that that music is very successful. But it didn't change any situation that you had. You still went back looking for help from everybody. That, for me, is a weak argument, is a weak thinking. It means that these people are not ready to dominate. These people are not ready to take charge of their own destiny. And that's all of Africa. You're celebrating singing and sports and entertainment. And the other people who are not doing that are the ones in charge of a lot of things. And then you're complaining. You cannot complain because we are not thinking as people who are playing to win. We are thinking as the people who are just consumers. We are thinking as the people who came to watch, spectators, until we're able to shift the mind of our people. Not only to be thinking of sports and entertainment as the standard. That's the standard. That's the standard. If you continue to think like that, the others will dominate us. The others will dominate us. Because where you need help, and anybody who brings help in that area, those are the things that you celebrate. Those are the things that you celebrate. So I'm talking about sports, I'm talking about entertainment, I'm talking about business, and I'm saying that what it takes to become successful in sports or what it takes to become successful in entertainment is not necessarily the same as what it takes for you to become successful in building a business. In building a business, there's a lot that you have got to do beyond yourself. You have to think of the team building. You have to think of structure, systems. And usually it takes so much. By the time that the other people have had their glory in terms of sports and entertainment, when they have hit their peak, usually that's the time that you have begun. That's the time that you have even begun to understand business. So when in their 40s they're coming on retirement, usually that's the time that the business person has even gotten his major breakthrough to building a business that can go beyond himself. So you will see that he's used about 10 years training, practicing. He's trying to build a team, get big major project, get big major concept, maybe major partner. But that's the time that he starts to run into the millions. When he has been through the thing for about 10 years. That's the time that the musician is always on the peak, singing everywhere. His name is everywhere. The president calls him. The thing about our country is that we don't need business people, we need sports and entertainers. And for us, once we have that, it means that we are very successful. And then we complain while the Chinese are here. We complain while the Chinese are taking over. And so if you have a talent, if you have a talent in sports, go ahead. But it's for yourself. And unfortunately, the country will make it big as if it's going to solve anything for us. It's not solving anything for us. If you don't know, they will say, oh, this music is from Ghana. Yes. And what happens? Oh, Ghana went to the World Cup to play. Yes, we went. And what happened? Did they move their GDP? We are not sure. Did they stop us from borrowing from China? No. Did you develop better hospital equipment or better food processing equipment? Did we create a lot of employment out of it? Did we industrialize? No, because what it takes to industrialize a country is not sports, it's not entertainment. No. Any group of people who are hooked on just sports and entertainment, and most of them look like us, the Africans, wherever they are. We are the ones that they have conditioned. They have told us that sports and entertainment is for us. Maybe. It's good. It makes the world go around, I think, but it cannot develop a country. That we should accept. Not the way we hold it. What it will develop a country, what it will take to develop a country is getting a lot of your people to start to innovate, to think, to get a government which is serious to develop, to industrialize, to develop the people. And so that if you have a shoe that you're making, you're thinking of how do I build it beyond myself. You're looking at, okay, how can I get 100 people employed in this business? You start to think systematically. You may not become popular as a Sarkodie in the next minute, but if you are able to become a billionaire, what you build will stay for years. To have eternal, or to have a long-term impact on people. You'll be able to employ 200 people, 1,000 people, you're creating prosperity for your country. If you're able to build an IT company, fantastic. You'll be able to employ people, and somebody also will look at it as an example and start one. Just as people are looking at the boys and trying to imitate them to become musicians, or to play football, we should have enough of the business people highlighted so that a lot of these guys going to school will not be thinking, because their colleagues, majority of their colleagues are thinking of robotics on another continent. They're thinking. Those boys now, let's say those around 10, 20, or 15, their colleagues in the other countries, other continents, they're thinking of robotics. They're thinking of AI. That's where they want to go. They're thinking of solar cars. Ours are thinking of music and sports. We cannot dominate like that. We cannot. We cannot. And people will come out with all kind of argument. But the fact is that the guy who is thinking of tomorrow and who is developing better technology will always lead. You will always be a servant to the one who has better technology. If you are going to war, and I am coming with ballistic missiles, going through the air, I've been able to engineer all these war planes, and you are coming with catapult, automatically I will just destroy you. So the one with better technology is the one who is going to win the war. And you don't do that with the drumming and dancing that we are doing here, with everybody trying to become a movie star or singer. No, Hollywood is not the one controlling the American economy. No, the richest in America is not Hollywood stars. No, they live big, they live expensive, but no, they are not the ones with the billionaires. The billionaires they are not the Hollywood stars. They are the ones with the big companies. The billionaires are not the sports. The percentage is very like that. They don't even come close. Once in a while you get one sports or one entertainment guy who is a billionaire. Even that, go and look. The money is handled by the people who really understand business. So we don't have to confuse them. Like that, becomes the only option for a lot of our children or a lot of the young generation. If you have talent to sing, no problem, sing. If you have talent to do sports, fantastic, do. But we cannot confuse that to developing our country and fighting to become a competitive nation. To become a competitive nation, majority of our people would have to start to think differently beyond sports and entertainment. You now have to think creatively and building a lot of these guys who can build businesses, companies around what they do well. It comes to a point where we have to just be straight, and as Ghanaians how we are, we pad everything. It's difficult for us to just say things as they are, which is good because we are very sensitive people. We easily get offended, when you go somewhere and somebody just look, down upon you. We are on our own, even in our ignorance. But you cannot win if you don't get majority of your people thinking, innovating, bringing out products, services, bringing better approach to how services are done in the commerce, because the one who controls the commerce controls the destiny of the country. The one who has the money is the one who is making the rules. Sorry, the network. So the one who has the money is the one who making the rules. So if you are in sports and entertainment, go ahead, but it is short-lived. The one with business is very long, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. You're going to go through a lot of stretch. Never give up, because what really will change the dynamics of our country and for our development is for a lot of people creating competition where it really matters. Where it really matters is in industry, is in creativity, is in innovation, is in coming up with systems and structures to solve the problems that are confronting us, the waste, the water, all the things that you can come up with the business and technology. So if you're doing that around one corner somewhere, be as proud as that young boy who's had a hit on radio. Be that proud. You may not be put on, a big stage like him, because his is short-lived. He'll be there in a minute. Yours may take you 10 years before you are there. But when you build it, it does not collapse like that. it takes a while. If you build an empire as a business, it takes a while. It takes a while, and it will be built out of the skill that you're learning. So theirs appeals to emotion, and a lot of people are emotional, so we get attracted to it. If I listen, there was a time I was listening to this music in my car, and I nearly called the guys who sang it. That was my first time hearing it. It was a Christian music, Ghanaian music. It was very nice. I loved the music so much. I was emotional. You know, it's emotional. But how many times have I used a product and I said I want to call the guy who developed the product? It doesn't appeal to emotions quickly like that. But music can easily hit you. Or maybe you're watching football and you see that someone just scored and the whole nation is in uproar. It's emotional. We are proud of it. But they don't change that much in terms of our difficulties, in terms of our poverty, in terms of people taking charge of the economy. They don't change that much. But they make us, they give us a sense of pride, false one anyway, because you cannot be that and then come back and you have nothing to show. It's both entertainment and business, and so it's different part. And so maybe some of them will start from the sports, and later you see that they get the sense to develop themselves. But it's not just straight path. You are going to go through what everybody else goes to build a business. And so that's why some of them say, "Oh, I started a label." No, you are going to go through it. You are going to employ people, lose money, be cheated, be lied to. Not because you build a music brand so you can build a business. It's not a different thing. You have to become proper business owner and manage it well. Or you just have to give the money to people who can invest it well for you without worrying yourself owning a business like that. Because you have to build it and build it well. And it takes a lot far beyond yourself. So thank you very much for watching.